Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and welcome to my very first collab video. I'm so honored and thrilled I got to work alongside the following amazing artists. 10 Dance, Anastazia Custom, Créatures de Lau, Doll Mill, Dollumentary, AllyKazaamm Crafts, Hextian, Kyros Workshop, MyMiniMon, Skeriosities, the Dolly Geek, the Doll Fairy, and Tiamat Creations. And for my character, I decided to go with Gamora. Since Gamora's style and appearance changes so greatly between different artists and different comic books, I decided to style my Gamora after Guardians of the Galaxy in the Marvel movie style. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and start by removing her hair. And I'm going to dunk her in a cup of boiling water to soften the glue and make the hair easier to remove from the inside. And after about 5 minutes, her head is nice and squishy. So it's time to remove her head. And take my little scraper tool and start removing her hair plugs. And once she's all nice and bald, I'm going to go ahead and take a pair of pliers and start removing the hair from the neck hole. Now I want to start sanding off all the factory details on the body and just get it ready for some body mods later. And I did most of this off camera because it was just so boring and nobody wants to see that. Now, taking some Apoxie Scuplt, I'm going to start giving her a new body type. I want to give her a kind of curvy, exaggerated comic book style body, so I'm just going to fill out her hips and her chest a little bit. After all the sculpting is done, I set her aside and let her cure for 24 hours. And here's how she turned out. Now for more sanding. Yay. I'm just going in with multiple grits of sanding blocks just to make sure everything looks really smooth. And once all the sanding is done, she's ready for her new green body. I'm really sorry about this terrible camera angle, but I'm just using my airbrush gun and using some model paint and spraying her body green. And after the head and body were totally dry, I'm going to start on her hair. I'm going to be using this hair I got from AliExpress, and I'm going to be rerooting this time. It's actually the first time I've ever rerooted a doll, which is kind of crazy to me. I think it ends up looking great, but it takes a long time. So after many hours of rerooting, I'm ready to move on to body blushing. I'm just going to grind up some colors I want to use. Some dark greens, a little bit of purples in there. And start blushing away. And once all the body blushing is done, I'm going to give her 3 good coats of Mr. Super Clear. And taking some dark green watercolor paint, I'm going to start dotting on her manicure. And don't forget the feet too. Here's how she's looking after the reroot. It's so pretty. But we have to cut off a little length. Taking some hair scissors, I'm going to start chopping away. To get that cool ombre effect I'm looking for, I'm going to be mixing alcohol inks together and applying it to the hair with paintbrushes. I just want to get the roots really dark and get it to fade out to that nice pinky purple. And here's how she's looking after the ink is dry. I absolutely love this method and I'm definitely going to be using it again. Now let's move on to the outfit. I want to start with the see-through part of her vest. I found this little scrap of black tulle that I thought would be perfect. But first I'm going to use some plastic wrap to protect the body. And I stretched the black tulle over the body with a binder clip. And at first I wanted to paint on the stripes with acrylic paint, but it didn't really work too well. With a new piece of fabric and some little ribbon strips, I'm just going to glue them onto the body piece instead. I'm also going to take some Apoxie Scuplt and sculpt around the heel and sole of her shoe to give it a kind of wedge effect with a cutout. With some of these soft-tipped silicone sculpting tools, I'm just making sure the inside of the shoe is nice and smooth. With an X-Acto, I'm going to remove the Monster High branding from the boots also. And here's how the undershirt turned out. Now I'm going to wrap the doll in plastic and masking tape to make some patterns for sewing. Once she's all taped up, I'm going to go ahead and take a marker and start drawing out the shape of her pants and her vest. And once that's all done, I'm going to take the X-Acto and carefully cut around the patterns. After I transfer the masking tape pattern to a piece of paper, I'm going to go ahead and use this fake leather and cut out the pieces. And just sew them up. Here's how everything's looking so far. Not bad. Using some of my Angelus leather paint, I'm gonna go ahead and give her clothes a light blue, grayish kind of tone. And here I just mixed up a lighter teal blue just to give a cool gradient effect to the center of the pants and the vest. I'm also going to take a white paint and do a speckling effect down the center. Now taking some Pearl X pigment, I'm going to use my finger and buff it into the pants and the vest. This gives it a really awesome shine, and I love it. When that's all done, I'm going to take the Angelus matte acrylic finisher and just brush that all over where I put the pigment. When that's done, I'm going to take my gem tack glue and put some metal bling around her collar. Now that the epoxy sculpt's dried around the shoes, I'm going to start sanding them down and getting them nice and smooth for the paint. With some silver model color paint, I'm going to go ahead and paint on her rings. And I'm going to paint the metal details on her shoes. Now that the clothes are done, let's work on the face. I'm just taking a paper towel and some sewing pins to protect her hair. And when that's done, I'm going to give her 2 coats of Mr. Super Clear as a base. For her blushing, I'm just starting out with a dark green and going around her eyes and her cheekbones and forehead and lips. Gamora's going to have a very simple face up today. Just a deep black smoky eye and very natural shading. Here I'm just taking a lime green to give her some highlights to her face. At this point, I'm going to give her another coat of Mr. Super Clear and start the process over again. Now I'm going in with a very dark green watercolor pencil, and I'm just going to start shading and filling in her lips. And I'm going to use a black watercolor pencil to fill in her nostrils. And after I sealed her again, it's time to start sketching out the eye shape, as well as her face markings. And here I'm just taking some black-green pastel powder and buffing that in around the markings. So when I add the silver paint to them later, they'll have a little bit more depth. With my white model color paint, I'm going to start filling in the shape of her eyes. This will just be easier than trying to build up a ton of layers of watercolor pencil. And with the silver paint, I'm going to start on her markings. For her eyes, I just filled them in with a simple brownish black color. But to jazz them up a little bit, I'm going to take some of this Born Pretty glitter and apply it to the eyes. And with a little bit of white paint and a dotting tool, I'm going to add some tiny eye shines. I gave her some lashes off camera, and this is how they turned out. Very nice and fluffy. And I'm going to apply a little bit of high gloss varnish to the eyes and lips. And she's done. I'm going to get her head attached to her body, style her hair, and let's check out her final reveal shots. Thank you all so much for watching, and don't forget to go check out all the other amazing dolls in this collab. I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye!